walk naked and they see.
Right, you know what that's talking about? That's a message that's going out to Israel, that if you have this truth, you better keep this truth. If you're out there on the highways and the byways, you better stay on the highways and the byways. Because guys, through the last 6 months to a year, been little by little falling off. And they all have the same thing. Well, I'm going to do my own thing. You know what their own thing is? They're going to go right back to being the nigga that they were. Check it out. All these guys that fell off, including Hamburger, Nate Satan's sepia sidekick, otherwise known as Barack Shaw, he broke off from Nate and talking about he going to do something with his wife. Well, we're waiting for the videos. All right? They ain't coming out. He went back to being a nigga, like we've been saying for years. Go ahead.
And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon.
Right, Armageddon means mountain of the troops. Go ahead.
It says, and the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were.
That earthquake is going to take place because of the missiles going back and forth in the earth. Go ahead.
Such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before the Most High, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent.
Those are actually missiles. The weight of a talent is anywhere from 75 to about 150 pounds. Scholars would say about 100 pounds. So they look like hell to John the Revelator, but they were actually missiles that was dropping on Babylon. Go ahead.
It says, and men blasphemed the Most High because of the plague of the hail. For the plague...
These Edomites, they're not going to try to get straight with the Most High. They're going to be getting destroyed. Their buildings are going to be falling, and they're going to be cursing out the Most High. Go ahead.
For the plague thereof was exceeding great.
Right, because that plague is going to be the destruction. Matter of fact, let's go further into the plague. Zechariah 14 and 12. Go ahead.
Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem.
I walk around my neighbors and people in where I live at, where I work. You know, people that I run into, and you run into every day, and they have that same cloudy mist around their ass. They have no idea what's going on, man. They have no idea what's going on. They have no idea that this society is coming to an end. They're just going on about their business. Matter of fact, hold that and give me the book of Luke, the 17th chapter. And go right to the point. As in the days of Noah. Go ahead.
Luke chapter 17, verse 26. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it also be in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that...
Yeah, because you got on these different basic cable TV shows, Bridezilla, The Ultimate Wedding, all these different poor, rich wedding, poor wedding. You got all these... I mean, they're pushing that wedding shit. They got magazines on wedding. They have books. They have sites on a wedding, how to get married, and how you going to set your wedding up. Make your wedding day the greatest day of your life. They got shows that focus on wedding cakes, man, and that's all wrapped around this damn fucking woman. Go ahead.
Until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise,
destroyed them all. And it's going to happen again. They're going to be destroyed all over again. Now, this guy, Barack Hussein Obama, he's doing so bad that they had to dig up this old dirty bastard, Clinton, to come. He said, I have a special guest. He had Clinton come up there and do the talking because nobody believes in this dude, man. They're tired of looking at Barack Obama. That plan didn't work. Go ahead.
It says, likewise also as it was in the days of Lot. They did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded.
Bought, they sold. They probably had stampedes back then. All right? Like they have stampedes today. These dumb, pathetic pieces of shit. Go ahead.
It says, but the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. And that day he which shall be upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. And he that is in the field, let him likewise not return back. Remember Lot's wife. Whosoever shall seek to save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life shall preserve it.
Yeah, so that said a lot. All right, now let's go back.
Okay, reading on back in the article. So back to our original question. Will China become the world's next dominating superpower after the decline of the U.S.? The answer is no. Though it will grow to a tremendous world power, even superpower status, especially through economic means, as indicated in Isaiah 23, it will not rise to the top spot. The position will be filled by a European power led by Germany. After a short economic partnership, China will violently contend with the King of the North for global dominance. But this war will end when Jesus Christ returns and destroys both powers. After that, according to biblical prophecy, Christ will restore his government on earth, a government that will bring peace and prosperity for 1,000 years. Yet Ezekiel 38 prophesies that not every nation will submit to Christ's rule voluntarily. Soon after the second coming, the people of Asia will form an army in order to attack the people living in Jerusalem. This will be the last great rebellion in the 1,000-year period. Christ will utterly destroy and deliver his people. It is a grand statement from God. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Ezekiel 38:23. Believing the Bible gives us an understanding of ancient Chinese history that scholars reject, and reveals the future status of China and major events this world power will participate in. But even more, it gives us the final and inspiring end result, Christ establishing his kingdom on earth. God is offering the wonderful opportunity to know who the Lord is. Horrible wars are prophesied to occur shortly, but God will deliver his people, those who know he is the Lord and rely on him. That should lead to the next big question. Are you one of those?
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm an Israelite. Are you one of those? Because if you're an Edomite, now the people that write that magazine, they're Edomites. All right, that goes back to Herbert W. Armstrong, which he used to go around saying that he's a reincarnation of Elijah. Herbert W. Armstrong, he's getting ready to go into slavery. He's in the spiritual world right now, but he's gonna come back up and he's going right into slavery with the rest of those idiots that don't understand the scriptures. Okay, now let's deal with, go back into the topic. The first scripture I'd like you to get is Ezekiel, the 25th chapter. We're going to start the 5th verse and read to the 10th verse.
Ezekiel chapter 25, verse 5. And I will make Rabbah a stable for camels, and the Ammonites a couching place for flocks.
Right, the Ammonites are the Japanese. Go ahead.
It says, and you shall know that I am the Lord. For thus saith the Lord power, because thou hast clapped thine hands, and stamped with the feet, and rejoiced in heart with all thy despite against the land of Israel. Behold, therefore I will stretch out mine hand upon thee, and will deliver thee for a spoil to the heathen. And I will cut thee off from the people, and I will cause thee to perish out of the countries. I will now destroy thee, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Thus saith the Lord power, because that Moab and Seir do say, Behold, the house of Judah is like unto all the heathen. Therefore, behold, I will open the side of Moab from the cities, from his cities which are on his frontier, the glory of the country, Beth Jeshemoth, Baal-meon, and Kiriathaim, verse 10, unto the men of the east with the Ammonites, and will give them in possession, that the Ammonites may not be remembered among the nations.
Now read that last verse.
Okay. It says, unto the men of the east with the Ammonites.
Now, if you look on the map there, Moab is north of Mount Seir, Esau, and south of Jerusalem. So when you go east of that, that's going far east. Now read that scripture again.
Unto the men of the east with the Ammonites, and will give them...
Ammonites are the Japanese. Now you know the Ammonites and the Moabites live side by side. They were both pushed to the uttermost east. Go ahead.
And will give them in possession, that the Ammonites may not be remembered among the nations.
That the Ammonites may not be remembered among the nations. Because ain't nobody going up to a Japanese and saying, oh, you're an Ammonite. But you have Ethiopians that they call Cushites. The so-called, you have many nations, the Arab nations, the Ishmaelites. They know that the Arab nations go back to the Ishmaelites and the Midianites. And they say they're biblical people. Even the Hamites, the different African groups, they say, well, they're the biblical Hamites. There's many books and dictionaries on that. But they ain't going to tell you who the Ammonites are because they're not going to be recognized among. Read that again. Read that last verse again.
It says, unto the men of the east with the Ammonites.
They went further to the east. They were already in the east. They were in the Middle East, but they went further to the east. Now, if you go further to the east, you'll find Elam, but further to the east from that of Elam is what? The Moabites, the Ammonites. Go ahead. The Koreans, which are Moabites. Go ahead.
And will give them in possession, that the Ammonites may not be remembered among the nations.
Yeah, so now let's go from there to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah, the 11th chapter, and let's start from the 12th verse to the 14th verse. Matter of fact, don't hold on to that. Let's go from there to, let's go to Nehemiah, the 13th chapter and the 1st verse. So we showed you that the Moabites were pushed to the far east, and that the Ammonites will not be recognized among the nations. And this is true. Now, I said earlier, you Israelites, you're not supposed to be marrying any of those nations, but you damn sure ain't supposed to be marrying the Moabites and them Ammonites. Go ahead.
Nehemiah 13:1. On that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of the Most High forever.
Right. So we're not to have anything to do with them two nations. Those two gooks. They're not our people. Now let's go from there to let's go to Ezra, the 9th chapter and the 1st verse.
Ezra chapter 9 verse 1. It says, Now in the 24th day of this month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting and with sackcloth and earth upon them. And the seed of Israel separated themselves from all strangers, and stood and confessed their sins and iniquities of their fathers. And they stood up in their place and read in the book of the law of the Lord their power 1/4 part of the day, and another fourth part another fourth part they confessed and worshipped the Lord their power.
Okay. Let's go from there to back to Nehemiah. What was you at? Oh, I'm sorry. Right, go. All right, Ezra 9:1. Go ahead.
My fault. Ezra 9:1. Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, The people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations, even of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites.
Yeah, so that's proof